Hey everyone, and welcome back to Googie Town in our wonderful Four Lake Forest. Today with episode number 2 of our wonderful Googie Town area. And as you can see, lots have changed. A lot of things have changed, and we're talking about those today in our wonderful area over here. The Flume has finally a station, and we've got a playground. But more about that now in the time lapse. So lean back, enjoy. We're going to talk you through today's episode. It's going to be a bit of a mix of cuts and time lapses to show you what we've been doing, and we are going to start with some groundwork. Literally, we do have this brand new, which is basically not brand new, it's old, but it's new in the game with the latest update. The good old concrete piece from Planet Coaster 1 now finally made its way into Planet Coaster 2. In case you're noticing that the colors on the game look a lot more familiar to Planet Coaster 1, hopefully you do notice. This is, and I'm gonna say that right away, is down to a mod. I'm not sure how much should be talked about that already, but I was given access to it already and just checked out, how it is. It's amazing, but as long as I don't know what exactly is gonna happen, I'm just gonna say the colors have been adjusted by that one. It's gonna be amazing, hopefully in the future. Lifesaver, I'm gonna say, but I do still hope that Frontier is going to address the colors themselves. Anyhow, that just as a little side note, because you may notice a little icon on screen where you're not used to having one. However, this is not a kind of nasty little thing I have from Frontier. Just that's why I'm saying this. About this station, groundwork was impossible to do otherwise, but I needed to just kind of make sure this area has a concrete foundation, and the lovely piece from the first game is so good that I just went again with this one. I think it just fits the Googie vibe so well. And another thing that fits in well would be a round shape. Funnily enough, we don't really have a kind of fully round circle yet in the Googie area, but as Googie works a lot with these kind of, geometric shapes, round shapes and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, we got to go with one. And this one in specific, oh god, that just took forever. I did not include even 80% of the entire footage. I think this is version 6 or so that you can see on screen right now. I had a hard time until I was happy, because I wanted to get bold with this one. I wanted to really do a bold statement building in this area. The one building that is kind of the station of the Flume. And at the same time, I didn't want to make the Flume building super enclosed. So you can see skip forward, because again, that just... the time lapse was not really bearable to watch. It was so much forcing back from my side that I was like, okay, this is the kind of finished shape I went for. The more I'm looking at it, the more I see it, the more I dig it, the more I like it. But it's been a lot of trial and error until I was at the point that I was happy with this. So as I said, it's a semi-open building. I will put in a couple more walls and stuff like that, but as I think that most likely these kind of Flume rides, and specifically those being fully outside, they are a spring, summer, early autumn ride, and in winter they most likely would be closed down. And in winter this area could be reused for something else. As I said, there's also going to be the pool area. So in general, my idea was that the entire Googie area in the wintertime becomes a little bit less used due to the fact how weather would influence these things. I mean, there is a reason why these areas with the typical rides kind of most likely are connected to US parks, and most of them in a more southern region, a more weather region that has a lot more constant weather during the year, and usually in the Central Europe you don't see them. It's another kind of big struggle I had. Speaking of struggle, I'm building a playground over here, which takes up 80% of today's time lapse because it took forever. I wanted to do it good. I wanted to do it really nice, and I went for these rubber pads over here from the toy box set, which I really feel like they fit in here super well, for giving the kids a bit of a more, soft ground for when they fall down. It's not like it's super helpful, but it's doing a little bit of damage control, I guess, over the wounds that you would take from it. But yeah, in general, I think the texture and so on works pretty well, but the edges were super ugly, so I used the gutters at the end of the day to make the separation. However, before we talk about this playground a bit more, let me just quickly talk you through the entire idea of Googie. It's a very hard task for me to bring this into the German idea of the park. So it is a German park located somewhere in Schwarzwald, in the Black Forest, which means it's also a little bit more classic, a little bit more typical theme park, old kind of theme park vibe, you know, a lot of classic type of buildings. There's going to be a bit more Main Street, Victorian buildings, but again, a lot of German, typical German medieval building style as well, which is very much logical because that's the region it's in. However, I wanted to do something bold to branch out from it. And I have a storyline to defend this decision, which we're going to talk about in the last episode of the Googie Town. You'll see in the real-time part, I'm going to talk you through a little bit later on, so stick with me. It's going to be interesting. I talk you through what's happening next, because in the next episode of Fall Like Forest, we're going to go into a different area. I need to do something else first, but the Googie Town will receive at least 2 more episodes, and then at the end, I'm going to tell you how it's fitting into the narrative of this park. But I thought long-term vision, and before I was starting the last episode on this project where I introduced the Googie Town, I really had a long debate with myself if I wanted to do this new theme in here, or if I do a little one-off Googie Town build. That would have been a possibility anyways, but I ended up not, because I thought long term it could become super boring to always go with the same kind of medieval forest classic, you know, vibe for what this. There's not that much that it offers, you know. Black Forest is a beautiful area, but as soon as you have kind of played through this kind of magical kind of stuff and then mystic fairy tales, that's about it, you know. After that, there is not much you can tell. So that is why I ended up going for a completely different theme that is super unexpected. And my idea is also that this would be one of the more modern introductions to the park, one of the latest ones, where they just basically went a little bit more brave and tried some things. And I'm coming up with I think a very logical and good story to why this fits in. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly give you a heads up that this is in my head. I was able to tell you because I did a bit of, planter work here and there, just making sure everything looks nice and is tied together nicely. I was working a lot on the edges of this area, simply because I felt it needs to be very tidy over here. And honestly, at the end of the episode, in the real-time part, you will see this really feels like a coherent area. And honestly, also, I'm super proud of it. I'm super proud of this area. It becomes exactly the area I wanted to have. It becomes the area that I envisioned in my head. There was this vision of how this all could be looking. And I am getting more and more brave also with the usage of trees, so that is going to be very cool. However, this area will have the least amount of trees within the area, so shade is something that we are not having too much, and the reason for that is that I do think this is going to be more of a summer area, yet one that also requires it to be hot, except the playground over here. But it's not like we're in Spain, you know, it's not like they become super hot, and if it's gonna be super hot, I guess kids won't be playing here anyways. They will be on the water rides and in the pools nearby. So there's a good reason to why. Now, what you see on screen is me building a little swing. Now, what I do have to say is I wanted to animate that. So you've seen I put the platforms already in place. What I didn't think about is that the platforms move only from a static center point to a new state and then back. And my idea was to put it like 45 degrees rotated, and then in my head, oh yeah, that's looking like a swing, which it does. But that means that the default state is not vertical. It's basically 45 degrees to the back or to the front, depending on if you use reverse or the front oscillate feature. Which, yeah, caused me a bit of a headache because I wanted to make all these things over here. The whole playground will be animated, but I wanted to make these things to be animated on trigger so that you can use the first person camera, go there, and then just click to animate. However, the swings will be one of the things that will be active all the time, despite not having a person on it. Yeah, anyways, that just a little bit of the idea. Skip forward, you can see I dressed a little bit on top of that swing with a bit of a googly eyes and stuff. Love it. And then my idea was to put a fake tree in with some of the wonderful, cool pieces we got with the sorcery pack, which I didn't do much with quite yet, but I didn't know how good they were. These kind of branch pieces, oh man, they are really good. So I used them to create like this this tree feature here in the sand pit. And at the end of the day, what I wanted to have is these kind of hanging things where kids can climb up and climb down. And I found this piece over here, which looked really cool, as if in the center of it, you can see the upper part of the pipe is a little bit thinner than the lower part. So my idea was that this could be flexible and could be moving up and down with like a hydraulic mechanism maybe, and the whole mechanism for that would be within the tree, so these things could be animated and moving, which unfortunately that's something I couldn't do with the platforms, but overall, I found the idea very interesting to have it. And now we'll come to one of the most lethal things in life. These kind of tiny hand-controlled carousels you'll find on playgrounds. These things are my final boss when it comes to injuries in childhood. I know that I had a full-grown head injury where I even need to go to the hospital with, because one time we just rotated the thing so fast that I completely flew out of it, and I kind of completely crashed into a tree head first. And yeah, at the end of the day it was all good, but oh boy, I remember the headache I had for days. So yeah, these things are dangerous, but I guess people, especially kids, love these things, and the more you grow up, you start to do a bit of too much of work to make them rotate. It's kind of hard to do. And at the end of the day, these things, oh gosh, my daughter, she's loving these things. These kind of, how they're called, wobbly animals, wobbly things to, sit on and then just start swinging a little. Oh gosh, she's loving them, and it's always like when she's on them, she's about to be a little bit too big for those things, and when she's doing this now, oh boy, my whole body shivers, like I don't know where she's flying with these things. But yeah, I wanted to have them in here because they're so classic, and I found this all fitting very nice to the Googie area. A big fan, honestly, on how they all turned out. I think they look fantastic. The only thing is they are about 20-ish% too big. And here I am speaking to you directly, Frontier. Well, can we, specifically with the toy box set, I'm a little disappointed on how little pieces can be scaled lower than 50%. Like, most of them are just simple art shapes, aren't they? With a wooden texture. Why can we not scale them down to 10% as well? That is, my head. I don't know why, but this would be fantastic if that could be patched. But yeah, I still managed to do a believable size, even though I said, they need to be a tad bit smaller. It's okay, it's okay. Last but not least, the last introduction to our playground is a coaster kind of thing. These things are, you also find them in gyms, but I've seen them a couple of times on playgrounds as well. Like this kind of funny coaster little thing, where this one thing just swings to the side and you can sit on with your knees or whatever. I like them, they're really cool, they're really, really damn cool. And I put them in here as well. I did hide the motor, so to make it as if this thing is really freely moving, I needed to have the pivot point to this top. That's the main reason why. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and time-lapse I should say, because there's quite a lot more coming in the video. And I must say, if you guys enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, liking, whatever. I just do this as like a mid-episode plug here. I hope you guys do, because in a couple of seconds I'm gonna hand you over to the real-time Rudi, and I gotta say, this area looks really cool. So you are about to enjoy this a lot, I hope. So here you go. Have a good time with Rudi in the real-time part, and he's gonna take care of you in about 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds now. Here we are in the real-time part, and we are just about to look at the finished playground over here, but we're also looking at the corner that I have actually changed a couple of little things, but it looks very, very nice now. We are actually it looks super overcast here all of a sudden. It's not, it's actually clean, normal weather. It should be. Anyways, but you can see that this is the finished area, and oh boy, am I happy. It turned out to be looking a lot nicer than I thought, and it's also looking a lot more German now because of all the kind of trees and stuff I placed in. I went a little bit more brave on foliage and so on. I think this the transition, as I was talking about in the real-time part, in the time-lapse, into the kind of rest of the park will be hard, but I think it's gonna be doable. So with the kind of story idea I have. Anyways, let's have a look at all these playground items over here. I'm not sure why I cannot go over here. There is a bit of a, okay, I can't, okay, whatever. So this is the playground. We use some of the rubber pads over here to make the kind of play area a bit more safe for the kids. Also to make it not as super hot in the summer as it would be with that kind of vinyl ground over here. We've got these rotating thingies over here, the tiny carousels. These things are lethal. I don't I don't know how about you guys, but you know, I hurt myself quite a lot with these things. Anyways, we need these kids need to deal with these things. Obviously, I wanted to make them all be playable at sequencer, so I will put some sequences in, and then you can interact with these things and make them rotate. But for the video, I wanted to show you how they're all acting. Same goes for these things. There was like a little wheel lying around over here. Forgot about that one. But these kind of little play animals to sit on and play with those. We also have the swinging around. These I have to keep swinging. Unfortunately, it doesn't work the other way, simply because of the way the kind of animation works. It's not a centered animation. I'm sure Taggy would figure out how to do that properly, but for me that's fine. And then in the back here, I quite like these things, kind of these climbing things around the tree. Big fan of those. You know, these could be very wobbly. They could be just going in and out and up and down, whatever. There's a lot of things they could do and move, but I left them as is. And then, yeah, that's kind of the playground we have over here for the kids, you know. People go here, interact with these things. I want to make this whole more interactive as well by sinking some stuff in the ground eventually, but this is how it looks. And then if we go further, we go to the new, not finished, but station. I think this entire area now got its very nice look. This is exactly what I wanted to achieve here with the Googie area. This side obviously is for the next episode of the Googie area. We may do a bit of a break, and the next episode will be a bit more of a winter kind of stuff, but more about that in the next episode. So this area received a nice overhaul. We will have some very cool kind of fonts going on that roof over here. We will have some more details, some more light strips and so on. But what I do really like is when you go into the wonderful splash ride entrance over here, you can see this really got me the feels that I wanted to create. There is a bit of a lack of support, so there will be another support somewhere in here in the middle. There will be some more walls and kind of stuff in here to make it look a bit nicer, but you can really tell like how this looks from in here. So that is a pretty much really like normal queue. I think this is the more I thought about that, at the beginning it kind of felt weird, but the more I thought about this, it's really looking pretty damn cool. It's the style I was going for. It's a brave style, I know, but as for what it is, I think it's exactly how it should look. We do obviously, I'm just jumping out of this camera now, we do obviously need to, whoops, there we have it. We need to obviously make sure that people do not see so much of the backstage, so there will be a bit more of a visual block over here, which will be pretty nice. There will be like a nice little animated door for when the Flumes come into the station. There will be a bit of a nice backstage area where, you know, realistically the logs could be taken out of the water, and there is a bit of a maintenance shelter here. So there's a lot going on, but that all will be part of the episode where we will style this part over here. It's going to be a huge episode. I think we will need 2 more episodes in the Googie area. One will be the entire log flume stuff, and the other one will be the transition back into the normal park, because that's going to be a hard challenge to really make sure this area here I have to nail. This is the area I have to nail. The same goes for that area over here, even though this is going to be a parking lot eventually, so there will be a bit more. You can see I'm starting already to draw the kind of edge of the park, but it's going to be all pretty much as best as I can hidden in here, so that this all goes more interactive. And this part over here will receive another ride. I'm not entirely sure which one it's going to be, but this is going to be another ride in the Googie style, so we have a pretty nice transition with that mountain over here. And so both areas will be tied together nicely and separated by that little hill in the middle, and then the rest of the park is going to be tackled soon. So I can't wait. There's a lot more to do, but the park is growing nicely, and I feel like this area looks a lot nicer than I expected it to be. This roof over here will receive a bit of a different coloration at some point. It's a bit too crazy with that pinkish on the top, so it's gonna be receiving a bit more muted color eventually, but for now that's all good. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this region. The air streamer, don't worry, it's gonna come. I spared that for this episode because I spent so much time on on the playground. Oh god, that was way longer than I expected it to be. It looks so tiny and easy, but it's not. It's not been tiny and easy. So last but not least, the souvenir shop also will receive a nice styling as well. But for the moment, I'm very happy with how that all turned out. The more there's going on over here, the more people will be using this area, the more nice it's gonna look. It's gonna look a lot more you know, used and crowded, and yeah, I think this is all going to be good. You can see this is kind of the style for the sides of the pathway, but some very good views already, some very nice views. It's gonna look very cool. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Hopefully you guys are too. Let's actually have a look at it in a different type of weather. I want to see, this is fully sunny now. Okay, I was a clear, but that's super sunny. Okay, so this is how you could look at it at a nice thing, but we're gonna look at that in a thunderstorm now. Let's have a look how that, oh god, that looks also so cool. The vibe is changing so dramatically over here. Look at that, it's so cool. It's so freaking awesome with like the new kind of improved lighting and improved coloration in this condition. A big fan of this. Looks a lot better. A lot better. I'm quite impressed how good that looks. So yeah, there's a little bit of a mod going on, in case you were wondering. I don't really talk too much about this because I'm not entirely sure how publicly the creator wants to be having this. I mean, you certainly saw that, so there's no need to hide that, but you can see that down here. I may be talking about this eventually. It's a mod. Basically, it's working like reshade, so it's nothing too crazy, but I think it changes the overall look to a very nice muted color, and this is what many people have been moaning about you know, in the past. And you know, just to quickly give you a comparison, so this is how the game normally would look like, and this is that with the muted colors. That's just a very nice, easier than reshade, so I'm a big fan of this. So yeah, here you can see how the whole thing turns into snow, and I think it still looks very good now. It gives the whole area a nice feel, a very nice feel. Also with the sand below here, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool how that looks. That's really cool. I think it's really fine. You know, there's a cool new trick I'm gonna show you soon to make these area. You know what? We can take that little moment right now. So what you can do in order to make these transitions even nicer here, because I like the idea of snow being just a little bit on the pathways, but this harsh edge over here I do really dislike. But if you go to decals and you've got specifically that one over here, the Moss Decal 2, this one's gonna be your best friend. You gotta put that one just to the edge here and just go along the edge, and it starts to look so much more realistic. So yeah, you have it. Obviously that just works nice for now, but once the snow is gone, you gotta have to make sure that the color really fits to the pathway you've laid out over here, or just the soil to the other side. So we're going to quickly turn around the weather back to clear. And then, oh, actually we could, yeah, clear is fine. So now the snow is going away. God, I love the texture over here of that ground. So it's so good. And now you can obviously see the moss has to be adjusted a little bit. So if you go and make that a bit more like this, and yeah, in this specific case, I would need to just find a bit of a nicer, maybe a bit more greenish over here, like that. And then the other one, let's see if, yeah, I don't know. I would need to just figure out how exactly that fits to, you know, that color a bit nicer. Same goes for that one. This is obviously too mossy green, so gotta make that a bit more green, as you can tell. So I think this is a pretty good one. This is a pretty good one, and then you could use that one. And so this is gonna look very nice then when it's snowing, but it's also looking good when you're using this. Whoops, come on over here. So when you're using it like this, it makes also the transition from the ground, dirt, a little nicer, you know. And once you got yourself some colorations, you can just easily copy them around. So this one over here would need to be a bit more of it, I don't know, just trying to figure out which kind of color that would. I think this is good. So something like that is good, and then you should go above that and about that, like so. And then once you have it, look from above, the transition now looks already way more natural, and then you get that kind of cool effect in the snow as well. Just a little tip. Anyways, that's been it for today's episode. I really hope you enjoy that one. So the playground looks fairly interesting, fairly nice in my opinion. Looks super, super decent. The entire area here looks super cool. One thing I wanted to achieve, and this was one of my main purposes, is the closer you get, I wanted to make sure that the top over here is hidden as much as possibly doable, simply because I always feel like it just doesn't look nice, you know. You should see that when you're on the ride, that's fine, you know, that moment of shock should come when you're on the ride, but you shouldn't be seeing that too often. I don't know, it's just ugly, you know. The tower over here hides it nicely. Sometimes obviously from over here you see it, but most of the times this area then will be, excuse me, interesting. That, by the way, is a bit of an issue when you're using, oh boy, really? So okay, I'm using pathway over here as, oh god, what the heck, what is going on? Tell the group to leave the park. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to fix that. Oh god, why are you on the roof right now? I think the only chance I have is to go and delete this bit. They're sinking down, and there you go. I think I need to change that over here because of the toilet, and then we always zoom in up here. Yeah, I was about to say I'm so proud that I'm using roofs as a path as a roof because it's working so nicely. But yeah, eventually that's hopefully, yeah. Okay, I think I need to. I get rid of that one over here. Hold on. So let's just get rid of this. Oh yeah, no, that worked perfectly fine. Let's say just path over here. Apply the filter. And then, hold on, there you have it. And then we can delete that one, right. So that should do the trick for the moment, and then I'm going to fix that later. So, have a good one, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you want to do me a favor, please make sure to like the video, get me some comments in, and subscribe if you haven't already. Recently, YouTube has been a little bit of a pain again. So, in case you like that, please make sure to also share that with your friends, or whatever, watch it later, I don't care. Just enjoy the content to the max, and I would love to have a lot of feedback, constructive criticism, if you will, to the video. Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna talk to you in the next one. Until then, have a nice time, have a nice Christmas if you don't want anything else before, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good one. Bye.